Okay, we are here at Cirque du Soleil, and this is such an exciting time because the show's been a permanent fixture here at Disney Springs for a long time, and now you have livened it up with some great new acts. Can you tell us what was kind of behind that? Because the show itself, I mean, I could see it several times and never get tired of it,
Sure.
and now with the new acts, it's just added a great new layer.
One of the great things about this show is watching it evolve. I've been here now for many years, and the show is not the same show as it was when I got here. Some of those things happen incrementally over time, but this is a really exciting moment because in the last year and a half or so, and particularly in the last 6 weeks, since December, we've done a huge reinvention. But it's been a process that started about a year and a half ago. We've changed. We brought in a new rolla-bola juggling act. We have changed costume, we've changed music, we've changed lighting. So a lot of those things have sort of evolved over time. We brought in new clowns, which totally changed the feeling and the pacing of what's going on in the show. It's very young and fun and playful and a little bit risky. You know, they push the envelope and push each other. Sometimes I feel like I'm watching a very comedic example of two siblings fighting at each other. Sometimes I see my own kids there even. So they're really fun with what they've brought to the whole thing. And then in December, we did a huge change. We changed the first 2 acts of the show completely. We brought in a Bboy act. Breakdancers is what most people would think of it. And we hired really 3 of the best B-boys from around the world. We have this international casting department that sort of scours the globe and finds the best of the best talent. And because this is the very first time we've ever done a B-boy act, a breakdancing act, there was a huge talent pool to draw from. So we felt really lucky. We were able to hire the best dancers from different parts of the world. We have them come. One of them comes from Russia. One of them comes from New York. I mean, different parts of the world, and they come here, and we are able to put together sort of the dream team for this kind of dance. Keeps the right feeling of the show. It just feels to me like it's always been there. It feels like the right opening for the show, and it's powerful. It's human, physical performance taken to the utmost. Some of the artists who've been here for a long time that are, they're very experienced performers. They're tumblers. They're trampolinists, and when these guys first got here, they'd start rehearsing, and we'd have some of our acrobats showing up to watch them rehearse. And that really says something. And I remember one of them in particular coming to me and going, you know what, most things I look at, and because I've been a gymnast and a trampolinist and a dancer and all these things, I look at most things and go, I can do that. I'm watching these guys and I'm going, I can't do that. How is this guy doing that? So that said a lot to me that, wow, this is a powerful physical performance. And then we have this aerial bamboo that came in as the second act of the show. So poetic. I mean, it's love. You can feel the connection between these 2 artists. It's quite something. And acrobatically, it's one of my favorite moments of the show. This spin of blinding speed as she's hanging from his cable coming from, and he's holding it in his teeth. And it's high above the stage. It's one of my favorite moments in the entire show, and it's new. So we kept this sort of poetry that we always had through that part of the show with this beautiful stage, the beautiful mise en scène. That's all protected and there the way it always was and still needed to be, but with an acrobatic punch that we didn't have before. So I'm pretty excited with what we've done and where we are right now.
Oh, it's amazing. And you were mentioning the stage and the stage sets, and that made me kind of think, I think you're at a little bit of an advantage here too, as is Vegas, because I was long ago a fan of the traveling Cirque shows. Kudam is my favorite of the traveling.
I was with Kudam for 4 years.
Oh, you were? I wonder if
Yeah,
we saw it in Chicago and loved it. I have the soundtrack. And here you've got something permanent to work with. So how did the stage is kind of a part of the show itself too, isn't it?
We're actually in a really unique situation. You mentioned the shows in Vegas. We actually even have an advantage over those shows in that this building was created for this show, and this show was created for this building. The shows in Vegas, they exist in casinos. Those buildings exist for another reason. And for some of those spaces, there was a different show in there before. If you look at our show Love, which is an absolutely beautiful show in Las Vegas, uses the catalog of the Beatles music. It's a full sensory experience. You're basically sitting in a speaker hearing the music of the Beatles. I mean, it's so immersive. The theater that takes place in used to hold Siegfried and Roy. There was another show there before us. So We have a very lucky situation that Cirque was able to say, here's what we need. The building was designed from the ground up for this show, so that there's a real symbiotic relationship between this building and the show that doesn't exist almost anywhere in the world. Like, where does that happen? You have a show, and a building was built for the show. It's amazing. We're very lucky. And this is a highly technical show. We can't pick, Nouba lives here. You can't just pick Nouba up and put it in a big top and go somewhere. Nouba lives in this building. It's its home.
Oh, absolutely. And the one thing I really love, because you would think front row is the best spot, and you do get, like, with the bicycle act and things like that. But really, there's so much going on here that there's not a bad seat in the house, is there? Because you want that wide perspective,
you know, that's
too.
one of the things people say is there's not a bad seat in the house, and sort of that's true. Franco Dragone, who was the director of this show, when it was created, he did the mise en scène, he did the balancing of the stage and what's where, and the show is amazingly done in that way that if you sit in one place and then you see the show from somewhere else, you're going to see something different. Many times you go, that's new, that wasn't there before. Well, it was, but you were looking at this and you were seated there. There's also things like if you sit in the center and sort of further back, then you see that whole tableau, you see the whole stage, and it gives you one perspective. And the balancing of the stage is so special. With most Cirque du Soleil shows, you have this sort of feeling that I could take a photograph at any moment here, and I have a beautiful picture. I can hang that on the wall. So you have that impression from farther back. But we also have these amazing physical performers, these characters, these clowns, these actors, who when you're close, you see their faces and you see the details of the makeup. I mean, some of these people spend hours a day putting the makeup on and such incredible, the detailing of the costumes, and there's things when you sit close, you go, oh my God, that person's performance, and you get touched in a different way. So one time you're touched because of the whole picture you're seeing, and the next time you're touched because you had a connection with an artist who looked at you and he felt something and you felt something and it's real. So it's the things that make these shows special.
Oh, absolutely. When you said touch, that made me think of the Pablos, and you may get literally
touched. Well,
yes.
That's that whole breaking down. The fourth wall, if you see it, what I mean is that wall, if you're sitting and watching a movie or between a stage and the audience, Nouba breaks that. Forget that concept of the fourth wall. Right from the opening dance, when all these artists are on stage and they yell, "Hey, ho!" you realize, okay, I'm not watching a movie. I'm here. I'm being yelled at from the stage, and I just woke up. And then they start marching towards you in this backlit corporation march, and oh my God, they're going to walk right into me. I mean, this is not a 3D movie. This is 3D. This is real, and that's what live theater is. This is live theater, and it's immersive. And forget that fourth wall. You're part of the show. Our clowns are walking through you. The show opens with a parade, with it's sort of a tip of the hat to the old circus world, and when a circus would come to town and there was no social media, there's no Facebook, we're inviting you, come follow us to the circus. And they do a parade right through the audience, right with you, making eye contact with you from feet away, doing amazing acrobatic feats, whether it's juggling or tumbling, right through the middle of the audience. This is an immersive experience.
Oh, it is. I know Disney, a lot of families bring kids. If you're worried about your kids not paying attention, when we were here last, rapt attention from every age. The show is something for everyone.
I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and they've been coming to this show for years, since they were little, and they're so excited anytime they get to come back. On the occasions that we do get tickets and I have the opportunity to bring them, my kids jump at the chance.
Oh, it's wonderful. Thank you so much for chatting with us today.
My pleasure.